What's good, guys? This is another segment of controversial speculation. It's your girl Ziggy as always, and it's currently 6:36 in the morning. Uh, just taking my walk before work this morning. It's very, very important to me to be able to do so. Just because when I get off, sometimes I can get busy, and it's like, am I gonna have time to get my steps in before it gets too dark outside and all of that? So, I prefer to do it. In the morning, and then everything after is supplemental. Yeah. So also, cool things too. Before I even get started on the topic, I hope this is working out well too with the sound, because I have it to where I put my headphones through my hoodie, so that way the cord isn't getting in my way of walking or whatever. But I think it should be fine. I have it set up like that. So, I also found out that there are some calisthenic parks at where I stay. And I was like, boy, that's so dope. So, assuming it's not raining when I get off, I'm going there. Me and my girlfriend are going to go there. And, I was about to say, they have something else too. They also have a trail at one of them. I don't know if they have a trail at another one, but they have a trail. And so that's pretty dope. So I think that's how my day's gonna go today. Go to work. Probably go to work, handle my business, and when I get off, probably go to the calisthenics park, one of them, and maybe get another walk in, and perhaps try to build some muscle. But yeah, so that's how my day's gonna go today, and I feel very grateful and thankful for that day. Yeah. So, I didn't even plan on doing a podcast, a segment today, if you will. I kind of just woke up this morning after scrolling on my phone last night, checking in and seeing what people are talking about. I got back on X, and everything on there, that's a very politically charged app. It's just a lot. It's just a lot on there. So I've kind of curated it to where I'm only seeing like nutrition stuff. I don't, you know what I'm saying? It's really politically charged, and it's like, it's not even people saying nice things or even saying productive ways of dealing with current political problems. It's just a bunch of adults name calling and being mean to each other because they have the nerve to like something different than them. But, that's just how the world goes around, I guess. For some reason, that's how they want it to go around. And today I wanted to talk about, just from looking at that last night, I wanted to talk about the utter absurdity of modern food, modern consumption, if you will. Because there's nothing wrong with consumption. You obviously have to consume food. Otherwise, you'll die. You consume water, you can consume good information that keeps you informed so that you can make the best decisions that you can for yourself. You know what I'm saying? And so, there's nothing wrong with consumption, but I think we've gotten to the point where we're consuming just for consuming's sake. And I think there's an issue in that. And you can tell that with our food and how we just move with our lifestyles and what's most important to us. And it's striking. It's just striking. Because more specifically, I'm going to speak to the nutrition things, because I've never been a person that was always into nutrition. Hello. I've never been a person that was crazy about nutrition till more recently, because it truly is shocking that like these things are legal, that they're allowed to put preservatives or chemicals, dyes, artificial dyes, guar gum, xanthan gum. There's a type of wax called carnauba wax, CARNAUBA, if I'm not mistaken, wax. That's the exact same wax that they use on your car when you go to a car wash. And that has actually been found in some foods like candy, gummy worms. Like when I was at Sprouts the other day, my girlfriend was looking at this thing of gummy worms, and it had that in there. I'm like, bro, I went and looked that up. That's the exact same, because I've seen that name before when I went and got my own car washed. And like that's it's very scary that you find those types of chemicals and things in your food when they're also being used for things that just aren't even, like you're not consuming anything when you go to a car wash, like, you know what I'm saying? And so I think it's just really unfortunate that we've allowed this to go on. Because at the end of the day, I feel like at the end of the day, everybody can do whatever they want to do. I mean, we're all adults, and ultimately, you have to bear the consequences of whatever you choose to consume. And so that's just where it is at the end of the day. But I feel like we don't take pride in that anymore. We don't take pride in what we consume, and we don't take pride in wanting what's best for ourselves, because everybody's whole thing is always, eat it in moderation, and I think that mindset is why everybody is going through things that they're going through. So Cali Means, like I said in the last segment, the dude that knew about coke and the NAACP thing, I saw his X account last night. In one of his pinned posts was talking about how his mom passed away, unfortunately. I'm very sorry to hear that, buddy. And he talked about that, and of course that was I'm glad he felt comfortable with sharing that, because that was real what his mom went through, and like the medical community not doing their best. His sister's a doctor, so she was having concerns as well, and it's just unfortunate. And under that same post, somebody was making comments, made a comment of like, but people don't have to die like that, and we should allow people to die with some dignity. And it's like, exactly, like when we are denying people the opportunity to build better habits regarding their health, we are denying their right to die with dignity, because we're going to die regardless. And I think that's something that we don't all want to face, but that is reality. And I think we don't want to face it, and that's why we experience such traumatic deaths regarding health, because we don't want to sit down and just say, look, I am going to die. That is exactly what's going to happen, and I can't necessarily prevent it, but I can prevent any extra suffering, or at least I can choose my suffering. I can either choose to suffer now by changing what I eat and exercising, or I can choose to suffer later by going to the doctor and not feeling well. If that, you know what I'm saying? It's just like, I agree with that person that you want to die with dignity, man. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, everybody's whole thing is like, well, you only live once, so why shouldn't we eat in moderation, or why shouldn't you eat in moderation? It's like, and I think that was what the game changer was for me, because once you realize that, yeah, I am gonna die one day, this may be the only life that I'm allotted, maybe I shouldn't waste it by just throwing myself to the wolves and not caring about my shape, because that's going to dramatically affect my quality of life, and it could potentially shorten my life. Now, I'm not really concerned about living till 100 or whatever. I don't necessarily need to live that long, but point being is that you are dramatically affecting your quality of life when you don't care about what you consume, whether it is food and drink, whether it is substances, weed, alcohol, whatever the case may be, even down to media and news, all those things. It's all connected, and that's why that's why focusing on your health through nutrition and movement, that's one of the best things you can do for yourself, because that right there is going to help you balance out, and it helps you show up in the other aspects of your life way better. And because I notice now that I care more about this stuff, I feel like that leads to better job performance for me, just because I have myself together, you know what I'm saying? And I'm not, oh, I don't feel good, and not physically, but also don't feel good mentally. And there's nothing wrong with feeling bad mentally, but I think that you're more likely to feel that way when you're not taking care of yourself. And so I think that's why it's important that, like, we stop taking nutrition so lightly. Like, we take it so lightly. And frankly, I feel like these things happen because we want to feel something. I feel like that's the only reason why anybody would ever purposely poison themselves. And it's no judgment, because technically I've drank alcohol before, I've had bad food before. That's all I had before, so no judgment at all. But just saying that, I feel like the only reason why that we're okay with accepting being poisoned is because we want to feel something, and we live in a world where we don't feel things normally. It's, you know, you gotta abide by certain rules, and you know, and that's a whole nother issue, living according to what society says. Because, you know, when you're brought into this world, you go to school, and you have to deal with your peers, and they may not be the nicest. And then that's not to include the issues you have at home. You know, you could end up having trauma from your childhood that you have to deal with. You become an adult, and it's like you can either go to college, go to the military, or go straight to work. And, you know, the only thing that the modern world has to offer to, the only thing that the modern world has to offer for adults in terms of feeling something, or in terms of something to do at least, is eating. Going out to eat, or going out for drinks. Those are like the two main things that adults have. Like, for real. Like, you know what I'm saying? And of course there are movie theaters, right? There are arcades, maybe water parks, but even when you go to those places, the foods are trash, and unless you just don't like eating at the movies or an arcade, you will. And the food there is trash, and there's a high likelihood that you're going to eat while you're there. I'm sure that's why they eventually started incorporating food, because they're like, people come here to play their games and bring their kids. Why not have a box of pizza ready for them? You know what I'm saying? So I think it's just inevitable. And I feel like we've done a terrible job of giving ourselves other hobbies and things to do that just doesn't revolve around eating and drinking all the time. And I think that's why we've all done that, because we want to feel something. We may be lacking in another area of our life, and that's why we feel like, man, I'm gonna go, man, I need a piece of chocolate cake, or, you know what I'm saying, I need me a burger from Wendy's, or, you know what I'm saying. I feel like it's so much more deeper than just, I don't care about my health. I think it's like, this is how I feel good about this is part of what brings me some joy in my life experience. But it's just, and it may feel that way mentally when you're first eating these things, but they're really destroying you. And no, and I think another thing too, people think just because you won't drop dead from eating at McDonald's, after eating McDonald's, that means that, it couldn't be bad for you. Whoever said that you would drop dead as soon as you ate something bad? If that was the case, then everybody would have been dead by now. So, you know, nobody ever said that. But over time, and that's another thing about moderation too, like, y'all be eating this like every day, if not every other day of the week. Like, let's be for real. Y'all do not just go in the store and buy Whole Foods, bro. I think that's the thing. It's like, that's not what's happening here. The average person is definitely consuming a lot of seed oils because it's in so much of the food. It's so much of the processed and packaged food. And so I don't understand. I don't understand, and it just breaks my heart, because there are people suffering with their health, whether that be their physical or mental and emotional health. there are people that go. It's like when you don't care about your physical health, that is going to affect your mental and emotional health at some point. And it's like we're such short-term thinkers, right? And that may be because of just how we evolved. You know, that might just be a human instinct, right? Because back when we did have to hunt and gather and you know, be in those types of tribes and things, we went ahead and ate whatever we could find then and there, and we weren't necessarily thinking about the amount too much because we don't know the next time we'll eat. But we're not in that situation anymore. We live in, dare I say, overabundance of food and food products anyways. And so we don't really need to think like that anymore. I think that's what hurts us is short-term thinking. You're only thinking about what you want right now. You're not really thinking about the future and what your future will be like. Because what you do every day directly affects your future. And so, and the crazy thing is that things like this have happened and probably will continue to happen. Because nobody's coming to save you. The government isn't. The corporations aren't. Nobody. Nobody's coming to save you. You have to take care of yourself. I was watching this YouTube video yesterday, and these guys were saying the same thing of like, you know, people don't see the importance of taking care of themselves and not relying on an institution to do it for them. People have gotten so far from that, and we pay for that every day. That's why our politics is terrible. That's why, you know, there's a economic crisis, which when isn't there one? You know, people can't afford to pay for things and all of this crap and crime. All of that is directly affected to our inability to take our fates in our own hands. Also, if y'all hear a lot of cars, it's because I'm like walking by a freeway. So I'm sorry if it gets too loud or anything like that. But I think all of that is directly affected to our inability to stand up and do what needs to be done. Instead of sitting around waiting on one group of people to hopefully grant us what we need. Like, we shouldn't sit around and wait on nobody to do anything. Because I certainly don't. I don't sit around, like, I'm not going to sit around and hope they're going to help me get my health together and just blindly follow everything. Nah, man. Like, nah. I think we need to understand that if you want better, you've got to do it for yourself. Nobody else is going to do it for you. And once you realize nobody's coming to save you, it can also be beautiful. I know it's scary, but it can also be beautiful because that means you are the creator of your destiny. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, some things are out of your control, which is fine. That's a part of life. Everything's not going to be within our control, but you can control how you move from there. And that's something that we have to learn to be okay with. You know what I'm saying? Make the impact how you can. Because 9 times out of 10, the best you can do is just change how you move. So then just change how you move, and it'll be all right. You know what I'm saying? But I just hate the direction that we're going down. And I hate that people feel so nonchalant about food because it's really important. And the amount of people that have passed away this year that I know of that passed away because of health issues, like, I don't know the last time I've heard somebody die from just natural causes of like, that was just their way of life and they just went on. I don't know the last time I heard somebody dying from natural causes. I don't even think that happens anymore. I think we're so like far into relying on institutions that a lot of deaths now have a lot to do with health. And I think that's like, because if people could just sit and think about that for a second, like, we're gonna die regardless, but people are dying from like chronic disease that can be avoided. Like if they just ate whole foods, they probably wouldn't have that issue, and they probably more likely to die in a car accident or something. But like, just I don't know, man, and that's why it's scary. And I try not to sound like just another person, because I'm not trying to preach to anybody. Because as I said before, you are free to do whatever you want to do. It's your choice. I respect everybody's choices. long as mine are respected, I'm going to always respect other people's choices to live their life, because it is their life. And but yeah, it's just scary, because they were going to die regardless, but they died in my opinion in such drastic traumatic ways that you just don't have to go out like that, man. Like, I hate that for people, rushing to the hospital because you had a heart attack. And, it's just, all of that is so traumatic. And, going out with dignity, I plan on going out with dignity, man. Because, first of all, dying is just a natural part of the life cycle. But either way, I'm going to go out with dignity, and knowing that I put my best foot forward to make sure that I can have the best quality of life I had. When I close my eyes, I want to be able to say, hey, man, I did the best I could to have the best quality of life that I could have. And that'll be okay with me. And then I'll just go on. And it's just unfortunate, because I don't feel like people get to experience that anymore. I don't feel like people get to experience just passing on just from natural causes, and you're just older now, and now it's time for you to move on. And I feel like people don't experience that anymore. And that's really upsetting, that people are dying because of shit like diabetes, high blood pressure, or cardiovascular disease, or lupus and cancer and all of these things. I hate that for people, man. All this knowledge and experience and history that we have and that we've been exposed to, and we still are failing people. We're still failing them. People are still not doing their best, even though we're living in the times that we're living in. And like, that should be all the more concerning and upsetting, I feel, because it's like, bro, we know about everything else, but we can't help people get right. We can't help them live a normal life and not have to be in and out of hospitals and all that crap. Like, it's just, it's bonkers to me. It's bonkers to me. And that's why it's like, I'm going to continue to work on my nutrition like I always have been. I don't plan on eating terribly anymore. I don't ever want to eat anything bad ever again, because I don't want to ever risk having to go in the hospital for a health reason aside from injury, from a car accident or from playing outside, or from. That's the only time I ever want to have to go to a hospital, is when I've injured myself. Not because I can't get my nutrition together and now I have to go in here with a $500 deductible. Absolutely not. Like, that is just so crazy to me. That is just so crazy to me. So crazy. And I would not be feeding into that, because that's another thing people have to understand too. Like, at the end of the day, yes, you can consume the stuff if you want, but you have to remember, you are going to be the one paying for this. All of it. You're going to be paying for it physically, mentally, emotionally, and financially. These people are not going to help you pay for the medications and surgeries needed and the education needed, just because you consumed their products that were terrible. They're not going to help you pay for that. And I think that's all the more reason to say, no, I don't want to do this anymore, because they're not doing right by me or by anybody else. And that's why I just refuse. And one example that I do have is recently I went inside of a hospital, and when I went in there, the energy was down, because people don't feel well, and it was very crowded and busy. There was like a 3 or 4 hour wait, man. And I went in there, and you can just tell people don't feel well. I seen this guy with like a bag, I don't know if that's what that's for specifically, but he had a bag. He wasn't feeling well, and it's just, I'm like, bro, I hate this for y'all. Like, I really do. And they have the nerve to have vending machines in there with Cheetos, Gatorade, Snickers bars, Hershey bars, Airheads. How dare you put this bullshit in a hospital? Like, this is why they can't get better. This is why they have to keep coming back in here and spending all their money, bro. The amount of money that people have to invest in health savings accounts now, the amount of money that they're spending on surgeries, or simple procedures, or medication in general, or just simply being seen, like, that's so crazy to me. Like, that's like, it's the biggest, or one of the most biggest ways of manipulation currently, that people can't see it for what it is. And it's crazy because this is a country that loves talking about freedom, and it's like, you're not free because you don't even realize you're being manipulated. Like, and it's not upsetting you. Y'all know this food isn't good for you, and it's not upsetting you. That is manipulation. You know, like you're being manipulated. They can bioengineer food to the bliss point, which that's manipulation. You're not going to find that in nature. And so it's just, we're being manipulated into eating things that are bad for us, but we're still the ones incurring the cost on when things go downhill. And that's why you got to think long term. It can't just be short term, I want to lose weight. No, there's more life than that. It shouldn't be about looking a certain way. It should be about getting overall healthy and wanting to see a difference made, not only in your local community, but globally, frankly. We should talk way more about nutrition, way more about it in schools, at our jobs, at institutions, like online, which people are. And I think the most frustrating about, I feel like now, because so many of us are into nutrition now and feel compelled to lead a different life, that turns some people off or away from it, or just makes them more defensive because they feel like, well, everybody's a doctor now, everybody's this and that and the third. Look, I mean, you can be upset because regular everyday people have the nerve to care about nutrition, or you can go do your own research and figure out what's best for you. But instead, people would rather get on there and want to be funny and be like, well, everybody gets to talk about nutrition now. Da, da, da. Yes, we can and we should. You do not need to be a doctor to learn about nutrition. If you don't go look it up, like, I'm just not understanding. We go look up everything else, but you don't want to hear it when somebody else has something to say about nutrition. I think one of the craziest things that we don't teach in society is discernment. Because yes, just because somebody says something online does not mean you have to take it for canon. However, you should be still doing your own research so that you are well informed, so that if they are lying, go verify that. And what if they're right? What if what they said was correct about nutrition? Then what? But because they're not a doctor, and because they haven't had the nerve to talk about the same thing that all impacts us, which is eating food, you don't even want to go look into it. And it's like, you could be doing yourself a really big disservice because you're being so close-minded. And that's what people don't realize. It's like, you're paying the price for this every time you don't want to open up and grow. You're paying the price for that. And so, no, I am not a doctor. I never said I was. I never will be. But that doesn't mean I can't talk about nutrition online. That does not, when we start gatekeeping things, that's a completely different story, because essentially that's what's happening here. Gatekeeping about who can talk about what. Like, I'm not grown. Like, what are you talking about? You should be able to interpret the nutritional policy that this country creates. You should be able to go and look up a study, see what they did in the study, and what their conclusions was, and whether or not that was a well done study. You should be able to do that because you're human, and we live in a time period now where we are in an abundance of knowledge. You should want to know how these things work so that you can do what's best for you, bro. Like, your survival and your quality of life is so dependent on your ability to know what you need to be doing for yourself. Like, for real. Like, it's like, but I don't get it. And people don't see that for what it is. And it's scary, man. And I think about this all the time. It's not even me, because like I said, I'm not trying to be judgy or anything like that. I'm genuinely concerned. I'm genuinely concerned about the route that we're going down. And this is the same species that is so afraid of going extinct. Like, we're so afraid of going extinct, but we don't know how to take care of ourselves. We deserve to go extinct because, like, you're not even doing what you need to do to simply live. Simply. Like, life doesn't have to be hard, man. Life doesn't have to be better on Saturn, as SZA said. Life can be better here. The grass can be green. The grass will be greener where you take care of it, man. But it's like, it's hard to convey that. It's hard to get people to see that. And my recommendation would always be that if you want to change your nutrition, if you're not healthy in any way, shape, or form, you got to start with your internal. Because I feel like that's what I had to do. I had to focus on, why am I feeling the need to use food as entertainment anyways? You know what I'm saying? So I think you need to address that. Now, that could be a multitude of things. That could be trauma that you went through as a child or recently, unfortunately. Maybe you just went through a breakup. Maybe you just lost a job. Maybe you and one of your friends fell out, like a long time best friend. Maybe a family member passed away. It could be a multitude of reasons as to why we use food as entertainment. Because we may not feel fulfilled in life or in certain areas of life. And I think you need to confront that first. And I think you will be leading yourself in the right direction. Because once you can figure out why you want to do that in the first place, because like I said, this is manipulation. And once you can figure that out, it'll be easier to get past the whole, but dang, I really want a Snicker bar. You know, and mind you, I used to love Snicker bars. That was my favorite candy, that and Hershey's. I was always more of a chocolate person than a Sour Patch Kids person, but yeah, man. So I think you just gotta address your mental and your emotional state first, and then you can go from there and try to make those changes. And be mindful that we're human and things don't happen overnight. I think that's another thing too. We're not willing to put in the time and do what we need to do because it doesn't happen overnight. And it's like, we didn't get unhealthy overnight. You know what I'm saying? Like, those things took time. It takes time to put on weight. It takes time to get sick. You know, like, these aren't things that happen overnight. So I think the important thing that we have to keep in mind here is that health is a life journey, and it's not about just losing weight and getting to a certain goal weight. It's not about getting the biggest muscles in the world, being the biggest bodybuilder or whatever. And it's not even about just simply curing something. Like, your health and your nutrition is something that you should be into regardless of what goal you just achieved, because that right there is going to help you maintain that goal that you achieved. That is just reality. You can go and eat other things, you can change and do whatever you want, but you risk putting yourself back in another position that you didn't have to be in, that you just simply didn't have to be in. And so I think that's the main thing. It's like, those crows are going crazy, bro. But I think that's the thing, that you should realize that it's a lifelong journey. This isn't something that just stops once you lose all your weight and all that crap. You gotta take care of yourself forever, and you should want to. You owe that to yourself. You owe that to yourself to not stress out your future self. You owe that to yourself to not stress yourself out in the future. You're gonna be so upset if you don't get your nutrition and your health together when you're, I'm 24 right now. There are people my age that are going to regret that. They're going to regret all that stuff that they're going through right now in 5 years. They're going to regret it. And I hate that for them. I really do. But like I said, nobody's coming to save anybody. And I think we get shown that time and again, and that's why those things happen. And so all I can do is just share my experiences and really just hope for the best with people and try not to stress out about it too much. I stress out a lot about the state of the world. I even stress out about my own family, and because I want them to be healthy too, but I also don't want to tell nobody how to live their life. Because, hey man, If this is what you're okay with, that's perfectly fine. And, you have to deal with it. I don't. But, yeah, man. And so, it's just sad. And I hate that for people. And I hate that people have to experience those things. So, this has been my little rampage about nutrition, how we don't take it seriously, how it's leading to all our demise, and all the chronic illnesses and disease and things of such. Man, we've just lost a sense of pride that we get from taking care of ourselves, and that comes at a great cost. It comes at a great cost when we don't understand the importance of taking care of ourselves and not having pride in that. Because I have a lot of pride in mine. I have a lot of pride in mine because it feels good, and I've been able to see the results. And I know that I'm setting myself up for the best future possible. I'm not saying I still can't get sick. I mean, if I still get sick, then I just do. It was just in the cards. And, I mean, hey, it just is what it is. But at least I'm trying. At least I have tried. And at least I've done all the research that's needed, which, just eat whole foods. I mean, I think it's just really that simple. Like, I'm pretty sure if everybody just switched to whole foods, we would see a lot of chronic illnesses decline. And at that point, if people are still having issues, it might be a dietary restriction that they need to look into that's affecting them. But aside from that, I think we would just have so much less of this issue if people just ate real food at home, and if the restaurants were required to only sell real food. We would have a lot less obesity, a lot less chronic illness and disease, and mental health issues. It just wouldn't even be all of that for real. So I'm not saying you still can't get sick. There are people that still get sick from certain foods, from certain real whole foods. But that's not reflective of the whole population, the whole human population, right? Because how else did we evolve, and how else did we survive and get here? So I think we just need to be a little bit more realistic about the kind of changes that we need to make, and realizing the great impact that they could have on us. And so I don't know, man. It's scary stuff. It's scary because it's real, and everybody acts as if this is normal, that it's okay to have bad things in your food, things that you wouldn't have found in nature. Like, that's bad that's normalized, because our own kind is selling us out. Our own kind. This isn't monsters or dragons or no, these are humans. They are the same species as us, and they're really choosing to put carnauba wax in gummy bears and gummy worms. They're really putting that in there, even though they know that humans probably should not be eating that, and they're doing it for profit. They're doing it for their own benefit, man. Like, that's not good. That's not good. And I frankly don't think that should be normalized. I don't know why anybody would want to normalize eating chemicals and preservatives. Like, why? I don't understand that concept. I never will, because that's crazy as fuck. Like, that's crazy. Like, that's crazy. Because it's like, we wouldn't have to eat in moderation if y'all just took out the chemicals and preservatives and the dyes and the gums and all that, like, and the dextrose and maltodextrin and all that crap, like the natural flavors. Like, if y'all just took that stuff out, we wouldn't have to do moderation. Then everybody could just eat what they wanted to eat. The same way that so many Americans go to places like Italy and France, and they go up there and eat whatever they want, and they lost 10 pounds. They've been up there eating pasta and drinking wine every day for 5 days consecutively, and they went to McDonald's, and they've been eating croissants and eating whatever desserts they have there, and they still come back 10 pounds shorter. 10 pounds lighter. Why is that the case? And why don't our own American corporations care about the very people that are responsible for most of their success? American corporations started here. Why wouldn't they cater to us? Why do they want to poison us? Of course they branched out to other countries now, so other countries sell their products as well. So why do those countries deserve to have the better quality foods and we don't? Like it's so it's so distasteful. It's so insensitive and inhumane to think that that is okay. And to then sit there and say, just eat in moderation. And the amount of dietitians and nutritionists and even doctors and nurses that encourage that kind of eating, and how could you, bro? Like, how could you sit here and say this is okay, this is all right? Like, what? Like, it's crazy, man. Like, it's crazy. And I hate that. I hate that for people. And I hate that we've normalized poisoning people. I hate that we've normalized, like, I mean, because, like, alcohol is already one thing within itself. There are literally no benefits to that. I think that's already one thing within itself. But to then turn around and poison our food, too, you're definitely putting us between a rock and a hard place. Because humans have already been over consuming alcohol, probably since they've been able to. But, like, when you're talking about messing with the food now, it's only downhill from there. It's only downhill from there. Like, for real. Like, it has been. It has been downhill from there. I don't understand, bro. Like, but hey, man, I just try to do the best I can for myself, and that's why I have the YouTube page. I like being able to document what I'm doing in my journey and how things are going for me. And I also like to be able to share this with other people, and maybe they understand what I'm saying. Maybe there's something they can take from this. Maybe this will spark conversations. I think that's the thing. We need to be willing to spark conversations, get the ball rolling. You know what I'm saying? So people can finally start taking these things seriously. This is how we take control back as individuals. We are already free. We just have to realize it. We are the ones in charge of our destinies outside of the things that we can't control. We are in charge of our own actions, how we show up in the world. Those are the things that we are responsible for. And so I just hope that I can spark that conversation with people, and maybe even inspire them to go and make those changes, because if it wasn't for other people online, I would have never made those changes and been where I am right now. So I really hope that I can get that out there and continue to speak about it as well. But with that being said, man, I appreciate you guys. I was just rambling on here about that. And it was raining yesterday. It's just cloudy now. But I hope y'all stay safe. Have a good weekend. Take care of yourself, man. Be kind to others. And y'all be breezy. I'll see y'all next time. What's good?